I want to start by saying Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahawashi, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahawashi, Kahala Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahawashi, Kahala Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahawashi, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this doctrine in truth and sincerity. Shalom to elect. The Heavenly Father's name is Yahweh, which means He is or He exists. Ba'ashim, in the name of His only begotten Son, in the world eagerly calls Jesus Christ. We know His name to be Yahawashi, which means He is the deliverer, He is the Savior for the Hebrew Israelites, from the pedigree of His Father. Ba'ashim, in the name of the Rakakwadash, which means the Holy Spirit, that's able to give us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of who we are, which are the true Hebrew Israelites, if you're so-called Negro, so-called Latino, so-called Native American, or of the speckled bird, looking like the other nations in your spirit, bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh Shema Shai, then you could be one elect. Shalom. We've been discontinued from our heritage because we went off following after false gods and false idols, not following the law, such commandments that was given to us by our forefathers. And because of those offenses, we were sent into captivity. But through our Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach being that perfect sacrifice in the flesh to the Heavenly Father, He's been given all power to be able to sit on the right-hand side of the Heavenly Father Yahweh, to be able to open the seals of the Holy Scriptures, to be able to give the understanding to the very elect, the ones that would hear this word and be able to understand the spirit of prophecy, which is the spirit of our Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach in His second coming, that there's going to be a time of great destruction, mourning, sorrows, and woes, and only in Yahweh Shema Shai there is salvation for the very elect. And we pray that we're of the hopeful elect by giving diligence to make our call election short. Okay, so I want to start right here. This is from biometricupdate.com. And it reads, South Korea to mandate face biometrics for new mobile numbers by 2026. I'll read it again. South Korea to mandate face biometrics for new mobile numbers by 2026. Okay. And what this is the bringing in of what a digital society. Okay, the crashing of the dollar bill. Okay, the petrodollar that once ruled the earth. Okay, which is the American dollar, is being crashed by these societies, right? And they're coming with their new world order by bringing in everything digitally. Okay, and linking it into what biometrics, which your biometrics are uniquely identified to what each person. Okay, and that will be linked into your digital wallet, and ultimately it will be how they will identify you, what through the facial recognition, okay, or the palm vein biometrics. Okay, so they're beginning to mandate these certain things. Okay, and they're doing it through their gradualism. Okay, to bring in what ultimately the chip, Revelation 13 and 16. He calls it all, both small, great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive what a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. That mark is something physical, the RFID chip. So let's look up this word, mandate. And this is going on worldwide. Okay, you have different ways of its being brought in. Okay, in the UK you have the digital ID that they're beginning to mandate it. If you want to work, then you have to have a digital ID. Okay, so the word mandate, an official order or commission to do something. So a decree. Okay, this goes into Isaiah 10 and 1, right? Unrighteous decree, right, that they're coming with. And this is what ultimately Esau, Edom, okay, the so-called white man, the international bankers, right, and these other heathen nations, they follow right along with it. Okay, so an official order issued by a legal authority. Okay, and these legal authorities are these different governments around the world, because they all have the same agenda of what the New World Order. Okay, and in that New World Order, a key part is the RFID chip. Okay, total control over the people. You will own nothing and be happy. Okay, and this will, so let's go back. And so let me just show you that this is going to be an ointment sense. Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation which shall come upon the whole world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Okay, so the Lord's going to who's going to keep the word of patience? The hopeful elect, the ones that are trusting in Yahweh Shema Shai. They're making Yahweh Shai their rock and their foundation, their everything. Okay, the atonement for their sins, right? And calling upon the name of Yahweh, and the name of Yahweh is a strong tower, the righteous run to is safe. And there's no other name whereby under heaven whereby you must be saved, and that name is Yahweh Shai, that is our Redeemer. Okay, so when the hour of temptation, which is when they mandate the physical mark of the beast be implemented inside your hand or your forehead to be able to track and trace you, when they mandated, that's the hour of temptation, the sixth trouble. Okay, where the elect are not going to bow down to the image of Baal. Okay, and then that they're going to be persecuted. Some of us are going to be beheaded. Some of us are going to be put into these different prison cells. But fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast him into prison for 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death. This is why faith is so important. Okay, faith in the names of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, and faith that you have the sound doctrine. Okay, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. When they mandate the chip, they're beginning to mandate the digital ID. Okay, and certain qualifications that you have to be in their society. Okay, and that's them bringing forth their unrighteous decrees. They're beginning to cause it. Okay, and the Greek word, that word causes, Revelation 13 and 16, that word cause is poeo, to form, to fashion, to carry out, to constitute. Okay, which shall come upon the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So let's look up this word world, okay, which goes into the Greek ointment. So everywhere where there's commerce, there's going to be the rolling out of the chip. Okay, that's why you see the pushing a digital ID around the world. Okay, when we're speaking about South Korea right now, but you have it in China, you have it in UK, you have it in Australia. Okay, and you have forms of it being pushed here in America through what the Genius Act, the cryptocurrency, everything is going digital. Okay, which is going right into the grid. Okay, which is going right into the gradualism of the physical mark of the beast. The word ointmented, G3625. Okay, the inhabited earth, a whole inhabited earth of what meant. So everywhere where there's commerce, there's going to be the rolling out of the chip. That's where the hour of temptation is going to be. Everywhere where there is commerce, there's going to be the rolling out of the chip. Okay, worldwide, and they're bringing it in through what their unrighteous decrees. They're mandating it. Isaiah 10 and 1, woe, which means destruction, doom, or terror unto them that decree. A decree is a law, unrighteous decree. So these are unrighteous laws. And now what they're setting them aside, their executive orders. Okay, so they can be able to implement them when need be. And they write grievances which they have prescribed. So they write these things down through their executive orders because they're going against their constitution. They're amending it and going into what their draconian policies. Okay, which is ultimately they're speaking like a dragon. You will own nothing and be happy. Okay. Translation comparison, right? The NET. Those who enact unjust policies. And who are they unjust to? The poor, the ones at the bottom. Okay, the ones that are what? In the ghettos, barrios, and the reservations. Okay. Those who are unjust policies are good as dead. They're always instituting unfair regulations. Yeah, unfair regulations to who? To the poor. Okay, and they're doing this strategically through orchestrated chaos, okay, to control the people, cutting off the food, cutting off the water, cutting off your livelihood, okay, and then making it that the only way is what the government, okay, but the government is what going to help invade. The only one that can help you out of this is if Yahweh Shemashai opens your eyes to be able to see. See what? See Esau, Edom, the devil, who he is, that he's coming with traps and snares and the wiles of the devil, and to trust in Yahweh Shemashai, okay, to have stability in this time of what Jacob's trouble. CSB, woe to those enacting crooked statutes and writing oppressive laws. Yeah, these are oppressive laws because they only benefit quo bono, right, which is a term in the Latin. Who benefits? Who benefits off these unrighteous decrees or the mandating of the digital ID? The elites do, because it's what? Total control over the people. They don't want a nation full of thinkers. They want a nation full of slaves. Okay, and that's the full, we're slaves right now, but even push it even further, they want your soul. They want that chip inside of your body. Okay, that graven image inside of you. Okay, NKJV. Woe to those who decree. Who's decreeing? Who's Esau, Edom, the international bankers, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers, the DuPonts, the Warburgs, the Schiffs, and these other heathen nations are following right along with it. Woe to those who decree unrighteous decrees, who write misfortune which they have prescribed. So they have prescribed these to what? To the people. That this is the way. Okay, they're fashioning a society. Okay. So let's go back to that. So that word mandate. Okay, mandate. So South Korea, a couple words. South Korea to mandate face biometrics for new mobile numbers by 2026. So let's look up biometrics. Okay, which is uniquely identified to each person. So when they scan your face, everything, all your information, your grapho, okay, which we're going to go into, all your information pops up, okay, which they're speaking about. The new oil or the new gold is what everybody's data, okay. This is what these elites are saying. I believe it was the one of these world leaders, right, had said that. Okay. Biometrics, the automated recognition of individuals. So when it scans you, your information pops up, your name, your occupation, your social credit score, your carbon emissions, right, your ESG, all these things will pop up on that digital ID. Okay, when they scan your face, right, which the face is what the metapon. Okay, when you go into the word forehead in Revelation 13 and 16, the word forehead goes in the Greek metapon, which means the face. Okay, so whenever you think of facial recognition, think of that Greek word metapon, okay, which is the actual brain implant, okay, that you see with Elon Musk with Neuralink. So biometrics, automated recognition of individuals by means of unique physical. So they know exactly how you walk, how you talk, okay, you know how you are with a mask, right? Unique physical characteristics such as fingerprints. This goes into the right hand, the dexos, okay. When you go, we're going to go into it, Revelation 13 and 16, Lord willing. Okay, fingerprints, the voice, the typing speed. Okay, so they know your algorithm of how you even type, how you even speak. Typically for the purposes of security. So who's what securing the people? Esau, Edom, the devil. Okay, he wants to what secure in what the people into what taking his chip. Okay, that's why it's a get down or lay down mentality. If you go against them, they're going to what label you extremists and label you radicalists. Okay. Which we're coming in the name of Yahweh Shema Mashai. So we are what? Contrary to this world. Okay, this world is full of wickedness and we're coming in righteousness, so we're going to be hated. Okay, the Lord, when the Lord brings you into this truth, you become a prey in this world. Isaiah 59. Okay, so mandate, right, with Isaiah 10 and 1, right, the face biometrics, right, and the new mobile numbers. The number is the what to link you into who you are. Okay, so they can again be able to track and trace you. Okay, everybody's information. So let's get Revelation 13 and 16. Revelation 13 and 16. And he calls it all, both small, great, rich, and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Who's causing it? The revival of the Roman Empire. Okay. The beast system, which is what? NATO and EU and America spearheading the charge. They're bringing forth their image with their scientists and their doctors, okay, and their 2030 agenda to justify what they're doing through their black magic. Okay, and through that black magic, they're going to deceive many into taking the physical chip, okay, which is the mark, the RFID chip. And he calls it all, both small, great, rich, and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Yeah, it calls it all. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're rich, doesn't matter if you're poor. You have to have that chip if you want to be a part of their society, as far as you want to be able to buy and sell. So this word forehead, okay, you have the Greek word metapon.
Strong's G 3359, metapon.
Okay, the face. Okay, and what do you see right now? You have Ray-Ban Meta, Metaverse, virtual reality glasses. These are glasses that will go on inside your forehead. Okay, and they're making it cool with Ray-Ban Meta and things like that. Okay, but really, what is it? It's the gradualism of what the brain implant that you have with Neuralink, with Elon Musk. Okay, the space between the eyes or the forehead. So those are those virtual reality glasses, Ray-Ban Meta. Okay, and so the face, again, going into facial recognition. That's why they want to link your facial recognition to your phone number so they can track and trace everything. Okay, and they want you to what? To bow, listen to their unrighteous decrees. Otherwise, you're going to be labeled a dissident, extremist, or radicalist and put into these FEMA camps. Okay, go to the root word, meta, with, after, behind. So what's behind those glasses? Okay, the brain implant, the graven image. Okay, inside, right? So the word causeth, right? We're going to look up some words, right? The word causeth, because they said they're mandating it, right? Poeo in the Greek.
Strong's G 4160, poeo.
Okay. To make, so they're making it through what their different the constitutions all around the world, in a sense, with names thing made to produce. So you have different brands: Ray-Ban Meta, Apple Glass, Apple Vision, Apple phone, right? All these are what brand names, okay, that people see them and they trust in them, okay, and so that's how they're rolling it out. Apple Wallet, right? So then you have the Samsung. They have their own thing of their wallet. So they want your wallet. They want you to first give up your own information. Okay, that's why when you go to certain places, they'll say, "Do you accept the cookies?" Right? When you accept the cookies, what they're doing is taking all your information, and then data. It's called data mining. Okay, which is what Palantir Technologies, which is they gather all your information, then they feed it to geofence you in to see if you are eligible to be part of their New World Order. Okay, whether you're going to comply or not comply. Okay, with things need to produce construct form. So they're fashioning a society. Okay, they're fashioning a society that if you don't comply to their facial recognition, to their digital ID, then you're going to be an outcast. Okay, you're not going to be able to buy and sell. You're not going to be able to work in their society. You're not going to be able to do business. Okay, be authors of, cause, produce. To constitute. So constitute is what their legislation that they're bringing out. Okay, and it's what draconian, because they're going away from their free speech, so-called free speech, and they're from their constitution, and they're amending it into the draconian policies. They're speaking like a dragon. Revelation 13:11. Constitute, be part of a whole. So in this case, what a new world order, novus ordo seclorum, everything being what centralized under what one command, under one blockchain, which Esau Edom at the top. Okay. To be part of a whole, give legal or constitutional form or institution established by law. Okay, so they're establishing by law. You have executive orders that are being put out there. Okay, and that's why you have in America Babylon the Great, where you had the Big Beautiful Bill, where in that Big Beautiful Bill, that 1,200-page document, right, you have in it says that the state and local level don't have no authority over AI sovereignty, which means that they can't say anything against what's happening and what's being pushed. Okay, a digital society worldwide. Okay, or a man shall desire to go in the city and shall not be able. If you don't have their credentials, you're not going to be able to go into that city because there's a siege being formed on the people. Okay, and people are still in that Christmas spirit. They don't understand what's going on, right? That means that they're in darkness. While we're in this light and this truth, we see that what a prudent man foresee the days are evil and hide himself in that secret place. Roughly paraphrasing Proverbs 22:3. Okay, we're in that secret place of this knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We know what the mark of the beast is. It's something physical they want embedded inside your hand and your forehead. And when you go into these the anthropology of words, which is the truth of the word, right? The meaning, the full meaning, right? Or the hermeneutics, okay, of the word, right? You're able to get a better understanding, okay? So poeo, right? Only if the Lord's supping with you, to be able to see it. Open your eyes to be able to see. Arise and shine, for that glory of light has come upon thee. The light has come upon those that believe, the tabernacle of David, the elect. Okay, so they're putting in their executive orders, right? And they're beginning to carry it out and execute it. And they're doing this worldwide. Okay, part of the UN Pact for the Future, 193 countries have signed the Pact for the Future. Okay, to bring forth the digital cooperation. Okay, and to bring forth climate change. What's climate change? A depopulation of the earth. Okay, those that are not going to comply with the New World Order, they're going to be eliminated in some form or way, whether it's through pestilence, whether it's through these different storms, or whether it's through civil war, right? They have the Georgia Guidestones, right? They want, there's 9 billion people in the world, and they want to bring it down to 500 million. So how do you do that? By these different plagues that come upon the earth. Remember that Esau Edom is that red horse, Revelation 6:4, that set out to take peace from the earth. Okay, so causeth all, right? Causeth all to do what? To take that physical chip, okay, that charagma, right? To receive, didomai, to receive, right? When you read it, it just says the right hand. Okay, this is, yeah, so to receive, didomai, to give something to someone, yeah, to one's accord, to give something as an advantage. So people are going to see it as an advantage. Okay, because everything is going to be cut off. The livelihoods, right? That's why they're offering what a UBI, universal basic income, in some places, right? Let me show you. The brother brought this out, and the brother, I believe, GMS Watchman, and then Elder Apostle Tahar, I believe, did a video. This is in the Marshall, let's see, yeah, Marshall Islands launches world first universal basic income. Okay. Universal basic income pilot program offering cryptocurrency. Why is it cryptocurrency? Why is it digital? How come it's not straight up cash? Because everything is going digital. Okay, so they can be able to track and trace your every movement, right? And UBI is a universal basic income, something that they give you certain amount of money. That's not going to be not a lot of money. Yet, see, $200 to $800. Okay, and they have pilot programs here in Babylon, here in America, that they're doing the same thing. Okay, but it'll be like $1,000, $1,200. But what's that to when your rent's $2,500 or $2,300? Okay, over in California, 2-bedroom is $2,300. Okay, not even including gas, electrical, and all these, food, water, all these other things that you have to pay. Okay, so 200 to 800 is nothing, right? But in the time of Jacob's trouble, when it increases, no one has no jobs, right? People are going to sign up for this. And first it will be they'll offer something in vain. It will be like they're being nice, right? And then they're ultimately going to come with that hammer, which is going to be, you have to take the chip. And they might even give you, instead of 800, they might give you 1,600 or 3,200. Okay, just to make it more intriguing, because again, the money is not nothing to them, because really it's not your money. Okay, it's just to set up to deceive you to take that chip. Okay, and the Lord's gonna send strong delusion to 2/3 of our people. So Marshall Islands launches world first universal basic income pilot program for offering cryptocurrency. Yeah, digital. So when you go back to here, the word receive, right? The word receive, dedomai, right? The Greek 1325, dedomai. This is why people are going to receive it. Okay, to one's accord, they're going to see it as an advantage. Hey, I didn't have no money, now I got some money. Okay, and as a gift. Remember, a gift what destroyed the heart. Okay, because they're coming with deception. Right? Let's look up bestow a gift. Means to formally, respectfully give or present something to someone, often implying an honor or favor or something special, like honorary decree or treasured item, rather than just casual present. Yeah, so they're wrapping it up in a nice big bow, right? Meanwhile, Apostle Ramlin, he's done videos, but it's all a piece of shit in there. When you open it up, it's nothing but a piece of shit. And that's what the chip is. Okay, it's a graven image. It's an idol. It's a vain thing. Okay, but to those that don't have eyes to see, they're going to see it as something that's important. Okay, because what their stomach is going to be to their back, right? Their woman's going to be screaming, their kids are going to be screaming at them, right? And in that, right, a lot of people are going to be deceived and taking the chip. They're going to see it as an advantage. Okay, and remember, a gift destroyed the heart. And there's supply furnished, right? So most likely these things are going to be free, just like they did in 2020 with the juice. Okay, everything was free, right? And then you see what happened. People are deleted. Okay, supply, furnish, necessary things, right? They're gonna give you the chip, right? You'll be in a 15-minute city, right? You're with your family and everything like that. Everything's supplied. Don't worry about it, right? They're just there to help. If he doeth good, Sirach 14:7. If he doeth good, he doeth unwillingly. At last, he will declare his wickedness. Sirach 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like iron is rusted, so is his wickedness. Okay, he's never changed his stance on who he hates. And that's what the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, so-called Native Americans, and the international bankers are the ones that are in power right now. They have the fatness of the earth and control of the money system, and they're bringing forth the crashing of the system that they did have, and bringing in their New World Order, Novus Ordo Seclorum. Okay, something to be administered, so they're administering it by what their government. Okay. Yet to give what is due, obligatory, right? This is also another form of what their legislation, obligatory.
Obligatory.
Okay. Required, legal, or moral. So they just said to mandate. They got to mandate that facial recognition to be linked into your phone number, which is what? It is gathering of your information. Okay. And they're mandating it, right? They're handing out lots. Yeah, because if you take that physical chip, right, the judgment is what? Revelation 16:2, or ulcer or cancer. Revelation 14:9, you're going to get hit with those missiles. Okay, there is no repenting of taking the chip. To give one to someone as his own. So you got your own. You got your own. You got your own digital ID. You got your own Novus. Own New World Order digital ID. Okay, someone as his own. And why would you take it? Because you see him as a leader. You see Esau Edom. You don't see the Lord's vision. You haven't received the correct message from the head apostles and the elder bishops and the men on down, the prophets, the true men of the Lord, the tabernacle of David, that are telling you what's going on. Okay, you've seen Esau Edom as your God, as your master. Okay, someone to follow him as a leader, as a master, right? And what the Lord said, right? There's 7,000 men that are not going to bow down to the image of Baal. Okay, 7 means what? Completion. Okay, so the elect are not going to bow down. They're not going to receive it. Receive what? The physical chip, the RFID chip, charagma, okay, which is the RFID chip, the word mark, okay, the stamp and printed mark. So they want to stamp you and brand you as what theirs, okay. And there's many people, right? It says the followers of the anti-Messiah. So 1 John 2:18, there's many anti-Messiahs. If you don't have the name of Yahweh and his only begotten son Yahushua, you are anti-Messiah. If you don't have the Lord's the sweet as well as the bitter parts of the scriptures, the sound wisdom, then you are anti-Messiah. Okay, which means ultimately you're going to take the chip, mark branded upon horses. Yeah, they see you as goyim. They see you as what? Cattle. So they want to brand you with their stamp, with their New World Order stamp, which is going to be, right now they're coming with the digital ID, but ultimately it's going to be with that physical mark, which is the charagma, the RFID chip. Okay, graven. It goes back to the Hebrew word pashwa, which means hewn or cutting. Leviticus 26:1. They want to cut something inside of what your hand or inside your forehead, which the forehead is the brain implant, so they can be able to scan your face or scan your hand to be able to know exactly who you are. Okay, you can't put down your phone or you can't wear a mask, right? They are able to scan you. Okay, and now you would be, those that take it, you would be an adulterous image. You have committed what? Spiritual adultery. Okay, by worshiping an idol. Okay, and following and taking that graven image, which is the chip. Okay, scratch or etching, showing you it's something physical, and now you're what? A badge of servitude. Now you are an NWO citizen because you took that physical chip. Okay, and now you are not the Lord's because you didn't receive the wisdom that would be that engrafted word that would be able to save you. Okay, so the root word of the word charagma, right? And this is what they're doing right now, karax. Okay, far as the gradualism of it, sharpened to a point akin. So that is what a syringe. Okay, the karax is what the syringe they would use to put the RFID chip in, the charagma inside of the people, in the hand or inside the forehead. Okay, a pail or a stake or a palisade, that's what they're forming, a palisade. But in this time, right, Daniel 12:4, knowledge has increased, so they're able to form that by what? Geofencing everybody in. Okay, through facial recognition. You're not going to be able to buy and sell unless you have a digital ID, right? And ultimately will be what? That chip. Okay, and this is what their military mount, right? And their military mount today is what their towers. Okay, these cell phone towers, right? The 5G towers, right? They're able to have your cell phone pinging on and everything. And what are they saying about the phone? The phone is going to be obsolete. Okay, the phone will be obsolete, and now the phone will be inside of you. You will be that chip. Okay, as far as transhumanism, right? So their military mount, who controls the military? Esau Edom, right? So that's why you have in Babylon the Great, you have the National Guard, okay, or the Marines that are being deployed to different states, right? Because they know there's going to be a resistance. Okay, there's going to be an insurrection, a violent uprising of the people. There's already sedition, which is a revolt against the government, because they see the government is nothing but a satanic government ran by the wicked. Okay, everything is being exposed because we're at those times. Luke 8:17. So a military mount from circumvaluation in a siege. Okay, so this is a siege, which is a period of prolonged misfortune where they're cutting off food, water, shelter, livelihoods, your speech. Okay, you will own nothing and be happy. And then they're what? Offering you something in vain, which is the chip. Okay, so when you go to the root word of the word karax, right? This is what when they scan your face or when they scan with your hand, right? What would pop up? It would be the grapho. This is your information. You'll hear them speaking about data. Okay, this is the grapho. Okay, this is what the information. So everybody's information, your biometrics. Okay, so look up the word information, right? Facts are provided, learned about something or someone. So in this case, it's every individual. It would be your information, your name, your occupation, your health records, your your environmental social governance, your carbon emissions, because they actually want to track and trace you for how many times you breathe. Okay, so how many times you breathe, they want to charge you for that. okay, with what your information. And if you don't comply, they'll take away all your information. Okay, right? Just like you have a bank account, they can debank you for things that you say. Okay, and they don't need to give you an answer. Okay, so information, the root word or a similar word, data, facts, statistics collected together for reference or analysis. That's what they're doing. They're gathering everybody's information, data. Okay, and they're doing it illegally. Okay, through Flock Technologies is a one company that they use. Okay, where they're scanning your license plates, where you're going. Okay, then they link it into what your social media accounts. Okay, then they link it into they want to link it into your digital wallet. That's why they rolled out the Apple Wallet. What is Apple? What is the symbol of it? The biting of the apple. Okay, that's symbolic to what you biting into the philosophy of the serpent, which that serpent today is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Okay, and he wants your data. Okay, so he can be able to track and trace you ultimately. Because when they have your data, they have all your information. They can take it away from you, right? And then that gives them control. Okay, that's why you have to trust in Yahweh Shema Shai. That's why the wisdom is needed when dealing with the physical chip. Yeah, so in the right hand, right, going into Dr. Oz spoke about the chip in the hand, okay, on his show, right? Then now you have him coming with the health tracking device. Okay, RFK Jr. has also spoke about that, where they have they already have it with these different phones, cell phone companies, where they have the watch. Okay, that's the gradualism of it. They're bringing it, their social condition in society as something that's normal. Dexos, right hand, right? The right hand. Okay. So it could be left, it could be right. Okay. And when you go to the root word, so when Yahweh Shema Shai is supping with you, you get a better understanding of it. Okay. Deklamai, right? To take with hand. So it's something physical. To receive, right? Receiving one. What are you receiving? You're receiving a chip. You're not receiving sin. You're receiving a physical chip inside your hand or your forehead. Why are you receiving it? Because you want to be hospitality. You want some help. You want food. You want water. You want shelter. You want your family to be safe. Okay? To receive, yeah, to grant access. You want to go into that smart city. Okay? You want to visit your family. Maybe your family already took the chip. Okay? And then they're maybe showing, you might be on lockdown and they're showing you videos of your family over there. Okay, your wife saying, "Hey, just take it. We took it. Everything's good, right?" So this is the deception, the great deception, and many people are going to see it because they see it as hospitality. And in these FEMA camps, what are they doing? They're educating you on how to be a New World Order citizen, what not to say, right? They're doing that right now by what the Ish people, these different, the Brown University, the Bundy beach attacks, right? What is that about? That's about pushing forth. Don't speak about these Ish people because of what they are, the wicked. Okay, they are the international bankers. That is what Esau Edom at the top, Amalek, those small caps, those Babylonian discs on their head, helping the Wailing Walls over there in our land. Those are the synagogue of Satan. Okay, and they're forming what propaganda or rhetoric around the world. Okay, that these people are being attacked and they're playing the victim. Okay, when they are the ones that are taking peace from the earth. Okay, they're the ones that are formulating these certain things. Okay, to bring forth the New World Order, to see them as good people. Okay, when they're not, right? Receive favorably. Yeah, people are going to be running down to those shipping centers. When you read 2nd Ezra 16 and about 67, you go on down. It speaks about they that give consent shall be trod underfoot. Give consent to what? To taking of that chip. Okay, because again, they're not going to hold you down and make you take the chip, but because everything is so bad in the world, right? The time of Jacob's trouble, bloodshed, strife, calamity, cannibalism, right? All the time of trouble like never before. People are going to be running down to these shipping centers. That's why it speaks about if they that give consent shall be trodden underfoot. You're done. Okay, favorably embrace. So you're embracing the New World Order. Okay, you are satanic like them. Okay, you're embracing being with pedestry. Okay, you're embracing satanic rituals. Okay, make one's own approved. Yeah, so you approved of it because you want to be able to eat. You want to be able to live, right? But you're living in a society that's what doomed. Okay, because when they mandate this physical chip, that's the end all be all. That's when the elect are going to be sealed. The 2/3 have already taken the chip or going to take the chip. Okay, and what the missiles are going to be shortly after that, and what the chariots, right, the spaceships, right, are going to be beaming up the elect. Okay, because there's going to be all out destruction around the world, a nuclear winter. Okay, to receive, yeah, so declamai, they're going to receive the physical chip. They're not going to reject it. Those 2/3. right? The ones that don't hear this message, the ones that don't know what the chip is. We know exactly what it is. It's the RFID chip. We just went into it right now. Okay, and they're controlling it by what the buying and selling of things, right? That's why you see. Let me get the video. So again, going back to that point, let me just the facial recognition, right? See, she's scanning her face, right, and then now she's able to go in, right? If she has access, if she has, the right. Social credit score, or if she has carbon emissions, then she can be able to go into a city. Okay, the facial recognition, they're scanning the face, right? That's ultimately the gradualism to what the brain implant. Okay. Right, did a video about this. Mark Zuckerberg unveils the device he says will replace smartphones. And what will replace smartphones? Slacky, and we got this shit popping up. What's going to replace those smartphones is going to be what the chip inside your hand or your forehead. Okay, and I'll leave the link in the description box.
There are huge
because this is what their agenda. Right? Psalms 2:1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Okay, and this is them openly speaking about it. Okay, you have the World Economic Forum, right? And you have the O, right? And you see that that half circle going through, right? That's the 666. Okay, that is what in Revelation 13:18, right? That is the Chi Psi Sigma. That is the Chi is them saying they are the savior. Okay, the Psi is what their image, their philosophy, their man on man, woman on woman, their satanic worship. Okay, their doctors to justify their black magic, their scientists, right? That's their image, right? And in that image, right, the 2/3 of our people are going to be deceived because they trust in this oppressive system. They're going to take the physical stigma, which is the third six. Okay, Revelation 13:18. That stigma is something that's physical to what cut into the bodies. Okay, and so they're going into it different ways that this is going to be used. Okay. And just because you take the chip, right? This guy says it. Just because you take the chip doesn't mean that you're going to be able to buy what you want. Again, you're trusting in the devil. Okay. So let it play.
And the one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it as a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like say ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
There's going to be people of means who are going to travel, and then there's going to be people maybe of lesser means who might actually be able to use an Oculus or a Magic Leap or some other kind of device to travel to the same place, but from their own couch. But in many ways, it's actually going to create even more distance between those two people that psychologically, and I think that we've experienced this through social media, in many ways it's brought people closer in certain ways, but actually created this remarkable divide because it's even more visible, actually, the divide.
I think whether we all like it or not, AI is here to stay, and AI is moving fast. In the last 10, 20, 30 years, there has been countries that had oil, and countries that had oil or other resources or other minerals did very well. The new oil in the AI world is data. Every country, every enterprise has data. Now, either you willingly give that data out to AI companies to train on, and hence you've given out your data oil well, or you use that for your advantage to improve it for your country. And I think that's where the opportunity is.
It will definitely happen. I was talking about 6G. earlier, which is around 2030, I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual, the most common interface.
Wow.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Okay, and this is what's going on. I want to get the last two parts.
An ability for
earlier, which is around
to improve it for your country. Only give the data out. The new oil in the AI world is data. Every country, every enterprise has data.
Okay, what is the data? We just went into it. The grapho. Okay, that's in what the word mark. Okay, the root word of that is the word grapho. That's the data is what your information. Okay, everybody's biometrics uniquely identified to each person. Okay.
Now, either you willingly give that data to AI companies to train on, and hence you've given out your data oil well, or you use that for your advantage to improve it for your country. And I think that's where the opportunity is.
It will definitely happen. I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual, the most common interface.
Wow.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
Okay, graven image. The graven image, the RFID chip, right? And that guy's name is the CEO of Nokia, Pekka Lundmark. Okay, Pekka Lundmark, right? The word Lundmark, okay? Everything's spiritual, right? So in that, he said what the phones will be obsolete and the phone will be what inside of you. Okay, transhumanism. Okay, the RFID chip inside of you. Okay, and what is this guy speaking about? And if you notice, World Economic Forum is right behind it. Again, the 666. They're showing their symbolism. Okay, and then they're on these different platforms where they're letting all these other nations know this is what we're doing. Okay, and if you're not moving in that way, then you're going to be left behind, because the new oil or the new gold is what the data, everybody's information.
Developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own.
See, through technology, right? Which is what their science. What did Timothy say? 1 Timothy 6:20, right? Let me get that. Through their technology, that's part of their image. Sakia, Timothy 6:20. Right? This is also what their pseudoscience. Okay, they're lying wonders. Right? So 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane. Profane means outside the temple. And vain babblings, right? And oppositions of science falsely so called. Okay? So their science, which is their technology. And that's how they're going to be justifying a lot of these things. And then they're going to have their doctors come in and justify their black magic. Okay, which is all sorcery. Okay, they're lying wonders. Right? Let's go back one time.
Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Okay. Carbon emissions, which is every time that you breathe, okay, they're going to be charging you for that. Again, this is the man of sin, and he's being revealed through what his servants, the prophets. Okay, we're letting you know what's going on before it even happens. Okay. There's some more. Okay. UK facial recognition bias report reveals Home Office using outdated software. So you have, again, facial recognition in the UK, and they're pushing that. Okay. Right? And what does Dr. Oz say? Right? Which Dr. Oz is, where is he at? He's in the White House right next to Elon Musk, right next to Trump. Trump is that hothead that's going to cause the division so they can be able to mandate the chip through martial law, right? Elon Musk is what's set up as, the technology guy, right? Then you have Sam Altman, you have Larry Ellison, you have these techocracy guys that are sworn into what the four colonels, were sworn into what the military, because that's how they're going to be doing. Everything is going to be militarized domestically. Dr. Oz ready to pay for trackable wearables in the name of improving your health. Okay, this is what their signs and lying wonders, right? Pay for trackable wearables in the name. So first it starts with the watch. That's what the Dexos. Okay, the right hand, right? So it starts on the hand. That's the gradualism into it actually being inside your actual hand, right? And so I got that video. This was from his show before he became into the White House, right? He had that show. Right?
Turns out one of the biggest discoveries.
A very popular show, and on that show he spoke about the chip. Okay, now he's speaking about the trackable or the traceable health devices, right?
Is actually this tiny. See how small that is?
That's the RFID.
This little chip may be the next big thing, and it sounds like it's right from a sci-fi movie.
Because what is the big picture? The big picture, right? The Lord's vision is what the CBDC is, the gateway drug to the MOT to the beat, the mark of the beast, and being mandated worldwide. Okay, this is the doctor to justify their black magic. Okay, then you have what the scientists, right, that they're justifying the technology part of it. Okay, this is what their image, their 2030 agenda, their whole system, their satanic system. Okay, of their beast system, and then what the third six is what the actual physical chip being inside the people. Okay.
All over the world are implanting these into their wrists.
Okay.
The latest breakthroughs. Turns out one of the biggest discoveries is actually this tiny. See how small that is? This little chip may be the next big thing, and it sounds like it's right from a sci-fi movie, but people all over the world are implanting these into their wrists. So I asked my producer, Dean, to find out more about this cutting-edge technology and what it could mean for your health.
Whether it's our smartphones, our watches, our fitness trackers, or our Bluetooth headphones, it's clear that technology is not just part of our lives, it's running them. It's how we buy things, watch things, how we date, stay safe, even how we travel. Paul? Cool. We're so attracted to our devices that they're basically becoming a part of our bodies. But what if they really could become a part of our bodies? Well, guess what? They can. Meet the RFID microchip. This tiny chip, which can be implanted...
Which is what? The mark of the beast. Okay? And now what are they doing? They're fashioning a society that if you don't have that chip inside of you, you're not going to be able to buy and sell. Okay?
Could become a part of our bodies. Well, guess what? They can. Meet the RFID microchip. This tiny chip, which can be implanted into your wrist, yes, I did say wrist, uses short-range radio frequency identification, similar to the tech used to track your pets or your phone. Once implanted in your body, it could identify you as you pass through the airport, open the door to your home. It could even be used to buy groceries at the supermarket. Now, your driver's license, passport, keys, and wallet are all inside your body, contained in something the size...
See, everything, right? That's the grapho. So when they scan you, all that information is on that actual chip.
...of a grain of rice. I know it might sound like sci-fi, but it's not. 10,000 people have already been chipped, and the number is growing. The possibilities are limitless, especially when it comes to your health. Imagine you're rushed to the hospital without any identification, but with just one scan of your chip, doctors know your name, date of birth, medical history, insurance.
Grapho. In the word mark, the grapho. That's your information. That's your data. When they scan, now your information pops up.
Blood types, allergies, even the medication you're taking. This chip in your wrist won't just change your life. One day, it might just save it. And that's why this little RFID microchip is the next big thing.
Okay, the next big thing. Meanwhile, you have these watchmen that are blind. They don't even know what it is. Okay, they don't even know what it is, and it's happening. It's being rolled out everywhere. As far as the gradualism of it. Okay, what did Trump sign? Right. This is right. Trump signs executive order seeking to block states from regulating AI companies. Yeah, because everything is being federalized, so they're coming with their draconian policies. The state and local level, okay, they don't have no rights, which they never did. Okay, but now it's even more because he's signing it into office. These are what Isaiah 10:1. This is what Revelation 13:16. He calls it all, right? That word calls it poeo, to form, to fashion, to carry out, to execute. December 11, 2025, President Donald Trump signed a highly controversial executive order, right? Unrighteous decree designed to limit ability to individual U.S. states to regulate artificial intelligence, push for unified federal approach, unified federal, this going into the New World Order, to governing rapidly evolving technology. So all the technology he wants to be able to control. That's why J.D. Vance and Trump, right? If you want to, they're saying if you want to build, you better build in America. Otherwise, we're going to go to war with you. Because what are they doing? They're beginning to take all the resources from different places or to go into war, which is going to lead to World War III. But what has to happen before those missiles, those ICBM missiles are shot off? The mandating of the chip, because those that take it are going to have no rest in the night. Also, cancer missiles upside their pate. Okay. So when you see, these different countries like South Korea to mandate facial biometrics for new mobile numbers by 2026, this is the gradualism into the chip. Okay, controlling what's going on, right? Where you're going, what you're doing, right? And they're coming in the name of what? Safety. So they're taking away your so-called privacy and what offering you what? Security. Meanwhile, who's the one that's watching over you? This devil. Okay. So Revelation 13:17, that no man might buy or sell except he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So that word buy, okay, goes into the Greek word agorazo, which is the marketplace. Okay. If you want to do any type of business, right, you're going to have that chip inside of you to be able to buy and sell. Okay. Agorazo, right, which is the marketplace. And when you go to the root word of it, right, to do business, you go to the root word of that G58, it's agora. Okay. And what did the first guy say on the first video that I showed you? He said, just because you take it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to buy and sell, because they can deem something to be less desirable. These are the heathen nations, right? Esau, Edom at the top, right? The United Pact, the UN Pact for the Future. Okay, those heathen nations that invested millions and billions of dollars in the technology of what the RFID chip. Okay, so the assembly of people, those are going to be the people judging you. Okay, you're going to be put on trial. Did you say this about this, or did you say this about the government? You're going to have to denounce everything you said and bow down to their system to be able to buy and sell. Okay, because going into the social credit score, right, that you see going on in China. So you have forms of it gradually being brought out. Okay. Revelation 13:18. Here is wisdom, let him add understanding, count the number of the beast, for his number of a man, his number is 603 score 6. So John the Revelator is giving us wisdom. Okay, to what? To the true men of the Lord, the prophets, and to the believers. Okay, what the chip actually is. How's the Lord going to tell you not to take something, but then you don't know what it is? Okay, the Lord has given us wisdom, Sophia. Okay, to spiritually discern between what something that's righteous, right, and something that's what wicked and of this world. Okay, the chai, the side, the stigma. Okay, doesn't say too much right here, but when you go to the root word, when Yahweh Shai gives you that oil, right, the stigma. Okay, marked, pricked, or branded upon the body to ancient Oriental usage. Slaves or soldiers bore the name of the stamp or master or commander. Branded, that's what they want to do. Brand you as what a New World Order system with that chip. Cut into the body, something physical. Cut into your bodies, dexos. Okay, into the right hand. Okay, or into the forehead, which is the brain implant, the graven image, the charagma. Cut into the bodies to what? To indicate what master or general belong to. So if you took that chip, okay, and they scan you, that means you'll kiss your ass goodbye, because now what is the shortly after that is going to be the judgment. Okay, when they scan what the elect hands, right, we're not going to have anything. That's why we're going to be put into these FEMA camps, right, or we're going to be beheaded. Some of us are going to be beheaded. Okay, That's why it speaks about Revelation 2:10. Fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast you into prison for 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death. This is where faith comes in. Because with scriptures like Wisdom of Solomon 3:1, the Lord spoke about we shall fear no torment. Okay, Matthew's 28 and 20, where it speaks about the Lord is with us always. Okay, some of us have to be witnesses for Yahushai's sake. Okay, to be witness unto the cross that some of us will be beheaded. But in that, what John the Revelator saw, men being beheaded, but they had crowns upon their head. Those that stood so stiffly for that name's sake. Okay. So Revelation, so here is wisdom. Right? And that wisdom is not to everybody. Okay, it's only to the elect, to be able to understand. Okay, the brother brought out, let me get this scripture. The brothers brought this out in GMS Birmingham. Slakia. And this is the time we're in. When you read Wisdom of Solomon 10, it's basically going into all the times when wisdom preserved what the elect. Okay? And we're in that time. So this is a Wisdom of Solomon 10:4. Right? For whose causes the earth being drowned with flood? So the time of Noah, right? Who was saved in the time of Noah, right? Noah, his wife, and his 3 sons and their 3 wives. Okay, only 8 people. 8 going into what? So Wisdom of Solomon 10:4. Let me read this again. For whose causes the earth being drowned with flood, wisdom again preserved it and directed the course of the righteous in a piece of wood in a small value. Okay, a piece of wood going into the ark. Okay, what's being built right now? That spiritual ark. Okay, 1 Peter 2:5. Right, the acceptable sacrifices. Right, through the wisdom again preserved. Yeah, the elect are preserved for this knowledge, wisdom, understanding to receive what? Mercy. Okay. Wisdom of Solomon 10:5. Whoever the nations in their wicked conspiracy being confounded. Yeah, because they're going to be confounded. They're being judged right now because how do we even know what the chip is? Because the Yahweh Shemashai has given us wisdom. The same wisdom that Noah received in his time when the flood came. And this time it's not going to be a flood. It's going to be what, or far as the form of water, it's going to be the flood of what the missiles. And he saw Edom coming in like a flood. Okay, moreover, the nations in their wicked conspiracy, yeah, they're conspiring together. Okay, 2 or more gathered together to do evil, right together, inspiring what to say. They're saying these things in these different meetings, these secret meetings, but now what it's being outed. And the Lord's given us information. We're not in those meetings, but the Lord's given us information on what is actually going on through the Spirit. Okay, to filter it through the scriptures. Little bits and pieces are coming out. Okay, these whistleblowers, one of them being Richard Warner, okay, where he was an insider with the WEF, and he spoke about the chip in the hand. Okay, Aaron Russo, okay, when he was speaking to Alex Jones, right, he spoke about the chip, okay, total control. So moreover, the nations and their wicked conspiracy being confounded, she, which is wisdom, found out the righteous. Yeah, found out the righteous. So the Lord has woken us up and preserved him blameless unto the Most High, blameless in the doctrine. Okay, and kept him strong against his tender compassion towards his son. Yeah, those that have tender compassion towards the son. Okay, who's the son? Yahushua. When the ungodly, Esau, Edom, the so-called white men, right, the international bankers, perished, she is wisdom, she delivered the righteous man, the elect, who fled from the fire which fell down from the 5 cities. Okay, the 5 cities, right, going into, when you go to Isaiah 19:18, okay, that's speaking about, those 5 cities is speaking about Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, and what is America? America is what Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so we're in the same predicament as Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember what Lot's wife what looked back. Okay, Lot didn't look back. Okay, Lot would be the elect of his time, right? So when this fire comes again, because with Sodom and Gomorrah was hit with what? Fire and brimstone. How is America going to be hit with fire and brimstone? Revelation 14:9. And let me I believe that's in I know there's one in Jeremiah 50. Let me get the one in Slakia. Let me get the one in Peter. Yeah, because this goes right into what we're. This is see. Yeah, so 2 Peter 2 and 4. For if the Most High spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into the chains of darkness, that's what we're in. We're in the chains of darkness. Okay, we are those angels that were cast down. Okay, down to hell, right? Condition played out on earth, and delivered them into the chains of darkness, into the sinful body, to be reserved unto judgment. Okay, and now we're being judged, but now the Lord's given us mercy through this knowledge, wisdom, understanding. And spare not the old world, but save Noah, right? Noah, right, which is the elect of his time, the 8th person. Okay, Noah, his wife, and his 3 sons. Okay, and their 3 wives, right? A preacher of righteousness, yeah, because a preacher of righteousness. So these are the ones that are going to be preserved in this time also. Okay, bringeth into the flood upon the world of the ungodly. Same thing that was said in Wisdom of Solomon 10. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, and condemned them with an overthrow, making them example unto those after they shall live ungodly. Yeah, so those that are going to live ungodly, that's an example. What was written for our foretime was written for our learning, that we may have hope. That to not follow those ways, to follow the ways of what of not of the time of Noah, but the ways of Noah, that what he was doing, preaching for 120 years, right? And no one would listen. That's the same thing that's going on right now. Okay, where people just don't want to listen, even though they and this time you can see it more clearly. Okay, far as those that have eyes to see. The same thing that Noah, right, was seeing, far as the vision of the Lord, right? He followed everything that the Lord wanted him to do. That's what we're following, okay? Particularly through the scriptures. Okay. 2 Peter 2 and 7, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of wickedness. So we're vexed with the things that are going on in this world, the immorality. For righteous man dwelling among them, and hearing vex his righteous soul from day to day with the unlawful deeds. The Lord Yahushua knoweth how to deliver the godly. Okay, because we're heading into a time, we're already in Jacob's trouble. We're heading into a time of the hour of temptation when they mandate the chip. The Lord Yahushua knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and reserve the unjust until the day of judgment to be punished. Yeah, the unjust, those that are what? The 2/3. IUIC, ISUPK, genocide, right? Anybody that doesn't know, that's not preaching the word of Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay? They're set up, they're ordained for condemnation. Right? Which is what this right here, Revelation 14 and 9. And the 3rd angel followed them with a loud voice. If any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. The forehead is what the brain implant. Okay, the hand is what the chip in the hand. Dr. Oz spoke about it. Okay, and receive, that word receive, lambano. Yeah, to take with the hand. You're taking what the physical chip inside the hand. Those that take it. The mark is the charagma, the RFID chip in his forehead, the brain implant, or in his hand. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of indignation, and shall be tormented with fire and brimstone. Same thing that happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, and that's going to be from those missiles, those ICBM missiles, and also the laser beams of fire that are going to be coming out of those chariots. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and the presence of the Lamb. Yeah, indignation goes into righteous anger, because you heard this message, but you didn't want to take heed. You were okay with doing evil. So you continue in wickedness to ultimately what the Lord hit you with, that fire and brimstone. Okay. 11. And the smoke of the torment ascended up forever and ever. So for a long period of time. And those that took the chip shall have no rest day nor night, or worship the beast in his image, and whoever received the mark of his name. So whoever receives that going to have no rest day nor night. Ultimately, ulcer or cancer, the missiles upside your pate. Here is the patience of the saints. Okay. And the saints are what the Israelites, but who's the elect dealing with right now? Okay, or who's Yahweh Shema Shai dealing with the elect right now? The ones that have this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, right? The apple of the Lord's eye. Here are the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yahweh Shai. Yeah, keep this sound doctrine. This means that the Most High's holy people, okay, which are the children of Israel, but who's being brought back first, right? The elect, the tabernacle of David, must endure persecution, patiently obeying his commands and maintaining their faith in Yahweh Shai. Yeah, maintaining our faith. Okay, that the Lord will save us in this time of Jacob's trouble. Revelation 15:2, and I saw it was a sea glass mingled with fire, and them had gotten the victory. Yeah, the elect are going to get the victory over the beast, which is a revival of the Roman Empire, right? NATO and EU, America spearheading the charge, and over his image, right? Their 2030 agenda, man on man, woman on woman, right? They're scientists, they're doctors, right? Over his mark, right? The RFID chip, something physical. Over the number of his name, the 666, which is the Chi Psi Sigma. The Chi is what them anointed himself as the savior on the left-hand side, right? Their Chi is what their image, their philosophy, and those that are what enchanted are going to take the physical RFID chip, okay, the physical stigma. And over the number of his name, stand on the sea glass, having the hearts of the Most High. So this would be the elect. They have the victory over the beast, his image, his mark, and the number of his name through what? Yahweh Shema Shai. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of the Most High, the song of the Lamb. The Lamb is Yahweh Shai, saying, great, marvelous are thy works, thy Lord, thy power, almighty, just and true are thy ways, the King of thy saints. Yeah, because from an aerial point of view, right, the Lord's going to beam us up into the spaceships. And from an aerial point of view, right, we're going to be looking down the weeping and gnashing teeth, those that took the chip. And we're going to be Lord willing. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of the Most High, the song of the Lamb, Yahweh Shai, saying, great, marvelous are thy works, thy Lord, thy power, almighty, just and true are thy way, the King of the saints. Okay, because the Lord has saved us and redeemed us. So with that, call Yahweh Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash, Shalom to elect, Kwame Shalom. Let's go.